So Maha, that was,
Emmanuel,
yes.
thank you for your wonderful keynotes. I'm really pleased to have you on the phone and listen to your thoughts about the digitalizations in Africa. And I will I will be happy to give the floor to Ms. Orimor, the Vice President of the African ICT Foundation. Will be happy to listen to your thoughts, please.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, comment vous allez? Je parle le français.
Il n'y a que moi la francophone ici, alors.
Oh, oui. Donc, ça va. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, please.
I trust that we are all, though I will just go straight to the point since the introductions have been done already. When it comes to, well, I'll first of all talk about my own background. Oh, I'm a software development expert. So I provide solutions basically to individuals and companies and corporate institutions based on exactly what they need. So we don't sell custom application. We try to understand what each person needs. And this has also made us work a lot in the AI and robotics, because when the need arises, we just have to tell the customer, this is what you need to work with. So when it comes to the media, as it were, a major problem today is what we call some ethical way to fact check information to see if this information are true or not. A major challenge today, if we're going to be addressing, I think in that domain, is the fact that most of the time, it's actually really difficult to fact check information from African countries. If you want to fact check on information from Europe, from America, there are so many utilities out there that can actually help you at some time. Information from African own regions is a bit difficult, because obviously we have a bit of setback when it comes to the AI. So we don't really have information out there that can be readily used. So today, when if we're going to be addressing the issue of the media, I think we should have gone past the issue of thinking the media would the AI will replace journalists. I think that is not at all the mission. That is not how AI works anyway. AI would always need what we call the expert system. An expert system will actually be put together by professionals in that domain. I will take a very popular domain, for instance. We talk about medicine, we talk about telemedicine, for instance. We authors, yes, we don't need a lot of doctors working on the application, but we still need medical practitioners manipulating the application and also and cross if it is actually giving what the media is to be the same at the long run. We always need journalists to be able to tell us how information is supposed to be written, how they are. I know everybody would not go to school of journalism for sure, but we just rather than replacing journalists, I think journalists will have their game, how they apply knowledge to the new content creator. Everybody can give their opinions, and for someone to have a substantial number of followers to get across any info, whether true or not, to a lot of people, millions of people at the same time. So the role and the importance of a social media platform, being responsible for what happened on their platform. The truth of that, we as Africans, since we are talking African in an African context, we need to have obviously fact-checking apps that can actually fact-check information that comes from Africa. I have been part of a team in the past where we try to put together this information and say, okay, can we be able to provide information for people that need to fact check information from Africa? The first challenge actually of having such application is what we call control. We're going to have the fact checking apps. We need journalists from across Africa who will be part of such platform, who can actually tell us whether those information are true or false. And that is already a very large advantage, a huge advantage that journalists can key into. So we are not going to be replacing journalists. We are only going to be working with technological innovation tools to be able to put out and better represent, the journalism career the way journalists themselves will want it to be represented. Imagine, for instance, let's create this scenario where we all belong to one platform and we have maybe like 30,000 journalists across Africa on that platform, that when somebody asks a question, they can tell you, no, this information is wrong because I'm here in this country and I can actually approve the fact that it is wrong. And we have a system behind that actually registers all this information and use the pattern eventually to sometimes give automatic responses. And in the cases where the app cannot give an automatic response, we have someone come and actually attest to this information. That would actually make the journalism career more relevant in this world. Because I know obviously when I see something flying across social media, I still need a professional journalist from a certified application to tell me whether it's true or not. So in my own approach, I would actually want journalists to see from this point of view that no, technology actually makes it become relevant in today's world, actually what they are already doing. Now, the question would be, what would be the danger of not addressing or addressing? What would be the danger having a journalist do journalism in the traditional way it is being done, then having all sorts of information, like I said, flying around social media? The problem is that we're going to have a defragmented information channel. Defragmented in the sense that we'll have the social media keep up with what they know how to do, let everybody air their opinion, and we still have the structured way of going to our newsrooms or our news website where we get other kind of information. And living in that kind of defragmented society make the whole concept of having true information difficult, because we'll always be confronted with what the media is saying, where most people even believe that what the media says is politicized, because they have to look at the government and look at what the government is comfortable with in their region or not, especially in Africa, and what everybody can air as their own opinion. So there's going to be a defragmented information system where we cannot really tell what is true from what. Am I going to listen to the person who just air his opinion, or I'm going to listen to someone I think is politically motivated to say what they say? So, and this kind of defragmented situation of truth telling is why we quickly have things like protests, that gets out of hand. Is why we quickly have things like even when the government is trying to calm the population, and it passes through the traditional media, they just avoid the truth, and everybody just wants to turn to the social media because they feel they can hear true information from there. We all know that is not true. So the solution to that is for us to embrace that, as it were. First of all, artificial intelligence, like the word says, is artificial. Artificial in the sense that it is not auto-generated. This information has to come from someone or somewhere. So, and that is where the relevance of a journalist comes from. Since this platform, since this resource needs my intelligence, so that makes something away from this discussion of ours is, first of all, to come address that. Intelligence, it only makes our skills more relevant, in the sense that we have to provide our skills to this platform. And secondly, when it comes to information dissemination, the truth-telling part of information dissemination is very, very important. And we can actually agree now that traditional media has failed. Traditional media has failed in that light. So hence the need for us to start looking at prospects and start looking at the ways we can actually make information more truthful, if I can say that, and also make everybody embrace what we have, or the information we receive from the traditional African society and traditional media and journalism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Merci infiniment. Thank you for
Merci.
your valuable intervention. I really appreciate your approach about faking news, about which is credible, which is not. It looks that you are someone who's working deep on the journalism field, and I love it. But I have one comment before I give the floor, that when the online journalism starts, a lot of traditional newspapers, they lost their money and they close. So printers stop working. There are some TVs who lost their supporters. They lost funding because people, they went online, and the one who were working on the traditional medias, they lost their job. Well, to highlight this hard transition from the traditional media into modern journalism, and now we are talking about the post-modern journalism, we're talking about machines who are going to do our tasks. Well, I will be happy to give the floor to Mr. Sonny Daniel, who's going to give us a critical comparison of journalism, 50s and modern days. Mr. Sonny Daniel is the Northern Region editor, and also he can Vanguard Limited. Please, Mr. Sonny, we are pleased and honored to listen to your thoughts. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, moderator, and I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you properly from Mauritania. I'm fine. I don't know my colleagues can hear you or not.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you. Really feel good for the opportunity to talk and to add my voice to the media space. The speaker did a good job, and I want to add, I don't want to read my paper, I just want to give a of the journalism profession is already well documented across many platforms. So the history will be left behind. But let us look at the fact that mainstream journalism, which was the mainstay of society in the 50s up to the time that the internet brought its pervasive effect on journalism. What was it? What was the benefit? We had a strong level of believability. If somebody saw a story in the newspaper, there was a byline. It could be verified. The author was known. The newspaper address was fixed. We knew the editor. There was no pseudonym to deceive anybody. And then suddenly, we also had radio and television. Although these channels of communication were limited because radio and television stations could only broadcast for a few minutes and shut down. We have to be happy today that the internet has made it possible for a 24-hour transmission. More information is made available. The comfort and the flexibility of generating, processing, and sharing of information has been significantly enhanced. So this is good. And we should have clapped, we should have been very happy for the enormous benefits that the internet era has brought upon journalism. But unfortunately, as good as and as beneficial as one would see, the adverse effects that modern era journalism triggered by the internet and artificial intelligence, the atrocities which modern journalism has brought on society are enormous, and we must be concerned. We should not leave the matter the way it is, because everybody is smiling that they have social media. Everybody is a journalist, and the field is not open. It has changed from a respectable profession to an all-comer affair. It has opened the field for anybody who has a computer, a phone, and an internet to boast that they are journalists, and therefore, who emerge from journalism schools, those who were properly trained, they are virtually being equated with quacks who have emerged from the roadside. Those who have failed in other professions, they are now media entrepreneurs, but they have nothing to offer in terms of ethical journalism, which largely defined the profession in the years past. Therefore, a serious problem has been brought upon society on account of this inversion of journalism profession by quacks. Other failures are now taking solace in journalism. The question to ask, can we continue like this? Where will this loss to? Because right now, cannot regulate and discipline, because not we cannot put a boundary that this is where our members should go to and where they should not exceed. The field is thrown open for everybody to practice journalism. And then one of the major setbacks is that the level of believability, trust, and confidence in journalism has broken down irretrievably. Apart from the fact that we have lost jobs, because as the Pew Center reported, the number of jobs lost in 26 years, from 1999 to about 2016, the figure is alarming. It's close to 500,000 that journalism business has lost in the US, in many parts of the world, as in Nigeria, everywhere. Beyond that, modern journalism has brought untold level, unprecedented level of incitement and violence upon society. You can see on January 6th, when the Capitol in the US was being invaded, the violence, the evil, the destruction, the killing were being captured live and sent to homes. It was live streamed. This would not have been possible in the early days of journalism. And are we bringing this new technology to destroy society, to build violence into homes, no respect for morals? Beyond that, we have seen adverse effects of modernism, occasioned by in the way news is being manipulated. Of course, we cannot lose sight of the fact that a popular professor, Susan Moller, had predicted that in the turn of century, there will be a serious level of manipulation of news. And it has that was done some 20 years ago. It's already upon us. And it's dangerous. It's frightening because that what somebody is putting out in the form of news, the video is different. The audio is a different thing, but the passion, as it is the original, and the society is a victim because they have no knowledge. I heard the previous speaker talking about fact checking, and I noted something. Asked the question: if we are to fact check, at what point do we fact check the audience of journalism? At what point do we do fact checking? Is it news that has already been splashed and spread with its pervasive effect? We now begin to fact check. The havoc has already been done. It's medicine after death. Again, the level of unleashed on society far outweighs the advantages. Given this, what do we in a society that is properly run? We would have run to a regulatory body, but I think we are trapped in the sense that the different countries' press associations cannot have the capacity to monitor the internet-propelled journalism to be able to any sanction. In fact, right now, the tech like Google, Yahoo, Twitter, Facebook, etc., they have more powers than even the journalist profession. They have taken over our jobs from us. Our regulatory powers, the Guild of Editors, the journalist unions should exercise in hijacked by the owners of the tech companies. For instance, Donald Trump, the former president of the United States of America, was taking off Twitter and Facebook with reckless abandon. It was not given a fair chance. Even a function that should have been performed by the court. Therefore, he was taken off and been done about it. Whether it was right or wrong, there should have been an adjudicator, owners of the companies. And therefore, it's for us to begin to think. We promote violence, and I want to point out the fact that the people we have relegated them. There is conspiracy of silence. There is of silence against the minorities. Dominant groups have taken over journalism. They have no access, not afford data, then they are cut off from modern journalism on the internet, AI. Therefore, we can see as two authors, for last aspect, and Merton pointed out in their theories of social status conferrer, confer status on the powerful, the rich, the wealthy, schemes out the poor, the weak. In fact, they have no voice to say anything. And this way to support another theory propounded by Professor Elizabeth Nolle, a German sociologist who propounded the theory of spiral of silence, when she said that when the dominant groups in society continue to be projected by the media seem to block out the minor views of the weak and the no truthful viewpoints. This is what we are constantly in modern journalism. And it is unhelpful to society because if you look at the submission of McBride et al. In 1989, they submit that journalism or communication, if you like, is a social need. It is an economic force. It is an national potential and a political instrument. If we take this away from the people, are we saving society? But the question is, go from here. Since journalism, a once respected profession for those who has become an all-comer business and a breeding ground for charters, political prostitutes, and economic saboteurs. For those who are failing, the journalism refugees, in quote, have now taken place in journalism, wreaking havoc and tossing the mind to the dogs. Who is to regulate us? Can we continue?
Hello, Mr. Sonny, please. One moment, Mr. Sonny. We've been having a serious cracking. The sound is unstable. I was thinking it's going to come up correctly very soon, but it's as if it continues that way, and it does not allow us to have a clear view. Even as important as your views are, the sound condition is taking it away from us. I don't know what we can do, but maybe as you try to run up, let's see if we can get a good sound, and while you continue, please continue.
Okay, I'm running off in my last point. The point was that in the circumstance in which we have found ourselves, do we continue and celebrate the disruptive and progressive influence of the internet propelled journalism, use our peace to fake news and manipulation, which no single profession can control and moderate? Or do we return to the same harbor when we would simply trust what we read and see without any attempt to or manipulate the media waste? Here lies the dilemma for time. I would like to stop there. I don't know how this sound goes. People clearly.
Thank you, Prophet Daniel. We are really happy and pleased to listen to you, despite of the voice issues which started on the middle of your valuable presentation, and which actually I have only one comment, because you said, like we said in French, phrase d'attaque, and you made it really clear and proper. You said that modern media, the rise of online, make the honorable job being a journalist accessible to common people, and which is really challenging, because in entire world we are talking about la banalisation du journalisme, which means like making a journalism as a normal and a simple job, which is at the first time it was really honorable. Well, I'm wondering now more about the future of a journalism, because you made us also scared about the meaning of being a journalist at this time. And I give the floor to Professor Ini Kimabonta. He will deliver a speech about the effect of artificial intelligence and the modern journalism. Too bad, too good, just cool. Mr. Ini Kimabonta is the policy and regulatory director at African ICT Foundation. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, and I give the floor to Professor Ini. Please.
Okay. A bit of the sound check. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I see hands.
You can listen. You can. I can hear you.
Thank you, moderator. Bit of a correction. I am not a professor. I had a stint in there. I didn't stay long. So I'm just Kimabonta.
Hello?
Okay, I'd like to share my talking points, if that's permissible at this time.
Please.
Can I proceed?
Please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I put my talking points in just a few slides. Some of the points here are already very well known to everybody. I'll repeat them, but briefly. Now, no aspect of life, I must say, or let's put it differently, almost every aspect of living cannot be exempt from artificial intelligence when we're in the era of internet, of everything. So journalism certainly won't be an exception to algorithms that run systems in the world today. So we expect, yes, that journalism will affect artificial intelligence. Now, I observed that the impact of really, which is why journalism is being affected now, that impact is as deep and as wide as human imagination can go. So just about anything is possible. And imagine it is already in existence, or it can happen in a short space of time. The question is, what I call the robo-writer, will it remain for the benefit of society or not? I mean, the robo-writer is the journalist of modern day, in a way, in a manner of speaking. Robo-writer will be that automated system where news can be delivered to the consumer in a good fashion. Of course, that's what we call artificial intelligence. Now, why journalism can be predisposed to artificial intelligence? In other words, what makes journalism susceptible to artificial intelligence? Now, I have a few observations here. One is the simple everyday information for happy living. In other words, the insatiable needs of human beings to know. Everyone wants to know about just anything that interests them. So for those who need information for simple everyday living, that need will make journalism open to artificial intelligence. It's like, what is traffic going to be like today? What's the weather like today? Or who won the local derby between your local teams? Those things are simple, but also routine in a manner. And it can be delivered to the person in real time using algorithms. Because they are routine, they are regular, and they want to be given almost immediately. The second point is information about more serious things. When I say more serious, things that affect the larger number of people, like the economy. So one would like to know, what's my investments looking like? What's the stock exchange like? And then for those who are regulators and policymakers and indeed innovators, I'm interested in those two, policy makers and regulators. And those are the key areas that I have interest in. Now, they'll be interested in mobile big data because even Africa or most of Africa is mobile first region. And mobile big data is so huge that it can tell us about everything. So every regulator will be interested in mobile big data to use that data for planning and for all kinds of things. But those kinds of data are also presented or gathered in a manner that some algorithms can interpret them and deliver them over time in a system that's quite open to data mining. Then the much more serious part is security information. And I use that because of what some parts of Africa, especially my own country, Nigeria, is going through. Let's talk about crime. And I call it crime demography. Where does it happen? In what nature? In what part of the world? What part of the city? And what part of the country? And what form does it take? What categories? Those things are predictable in a way, or at least they can be put in a form that the algorithm show the trends. And then law enforcement agencies can use such information. Those are the things that I see that require journalism to adopt technology. So let's move on. Now, about characteristics, artificial intelligence. Now, the media, journalism, we think in the sense that let's take the institution holiday or certain days, they do certain interpretable or foreseeable pattern. They meet, they read the draft bills, they pass the draft bills. That's a routine. Or if you look at traffic, the roads are clear, they already know this is a map, and traffic moves in one direction and the opposite direction. So anything that happens in between is also delivered by news. So there's some system, some repeatable, regular needs that or occurrences that journalism can treat in an automated fashion. That characteristics of journalism is something AI can easily program. Now, there's also the round-the-clock consumption of news. You can't say when anybody would like to get information or not. You might be asleep in one part of the world, another part of the world is awake. So everybody is busy around the clock, depends on what part of the world you use. And then you can get information from that part when you're awake. It doesn't really matter. So news, information is consumed into our period. And there is need for some kind of automation to make sure it's available also around the clock. Then I heard Daniel talk about this, the sacred, he didn't use the word, but he meant the preservable or the enduring things about journalism that may be eroded now by new media. That's why I call them facts, truth, and accuracy are sacred in journalism. But contrary to what he had said, I believe that automation itself, the new media, as it were, will actually be what prepares that holy ground, that sacred ground. Because when you build a system that is purely able to interpret figures, then you have facts. So it's devoid from highly opinionated research, devoid from falsehood, because you're reporting what exists as it is. A spaceship taking off, for instance, and it's double charged by some fueling system. That's factual. Then finally, one of the characteristics of media is what I call personalized delivery. Today, new media is such that I can get the news I want delivered to me where I want, on my mobile device, on my computer, in any form that I want it. It can also go to a point where my kind of news is what gets to me, because the algorithm that runs my computer abstracts my interest, and so selects and curates the kind of information I need to know, either based on my health, or based on my education, or based on my social interest. So those things are curated and delivered to me just at the press of the button. That's what journalism is today. So those kind of things require automation, require use of artificial intelligence to interpret my mood, my needs, to have me have a personalized delivery of information. Okay, so let's move on. We then have benefits of AI journalism. I have three key areas. There are many more, but these three will suffice. What are the benefits of the profession of journalism? One, as you all know, is real-time reporting. Many years back in my country, the capital of Nigeria, the country where I come from, is actually the seat of the most powerful media houses. It was also there 3 decades back or 4 decades back. Now, where I was living then, get the news that happened in that city 2 days after. So the newspapers will be shipped, they said differently, but it is still news. But all that's past. There's need now for real-time reporting. Real-time is not just the same day, it's as it's happening. So what can make news that hot, present? It is automation. It's what I call the robo-writer. When the robo-writer, that's in a system where they interpret and read patterns, as in a minute, after a minute or 2 or 5 hours of an incident, you can have the news delivered to your phone. Oftentimes, you can watch certain events live as they happen, and not just because they're video, but because there's a writing that transcribes what's going on. It's journalism, to my mind. So that's one benefit. So we can have real-time online news reporting. Benefit to the profession. Second is convenience. Now, a typical journalist does not have to do routine things anymore. It doesn't have to be on that site anymore. If the information is seeking is one that can be automated, it doesn't have to go, right? He just simply deploys a system that delivers it. So that's convenience. So he can use his time for something more important that has some kind of mastery, flair, or opinion, or analysis that is more rigorous than the basic things that therefore makes journalism efficient because it cuts out waste. Okay, the second benefit is user experience and satisfaction. So many persons will be more satisfied with news, with passion now because they get the news in a personalized manner. So I can subscribe to so many media houses, online media houses, and I like them. I can jump from one to the other on just the device as I'm traveling on a plane or in an aircraft. So I don't need to go and get the hardware. So there's an experience that is beautiful and satisfactory. And the most important part of the user experience is what I call hypertextuality, which is the hyperlink reporting, where in just one news you're going through, you can find hyperlinks of connected stories in each the content you have at that moment. That's exciting. So you end up having so many views of a single article of related article. That's something that happens when there is behind the scene algorithm that powers the news. That doesn't happen in hard copy newspaper news or things you find on orthodox regular TV houses. That's an excellent user experience satisfaction benefit to the profession. And finally, on that benefits section, the policy and regulatory benefits. One is you find that there can be faster editing to meet regulatory requirements. Now, what I mean by that is certain governments, certain world that have to comply with, or your news have to comply with. Now, it's difficult for one journalist to know what all those rules are. If you're doing a movie or if you're preparing a video, that's how do you get which you're not running foul of the law. What does that is the algorithm behind that does all the check in just a few seconds. And you find that your article is properly edited and is clean from any step that you may be accused of. So that helps meet regulatory challenges. The other one, which I like the most, is avoidance of censorship. Yet in my part of the world, sometimes government wants to intervene, not just in content, but also in the presence of journalists. Some journalists have been banned from going to places for no just good reason. Now, if you have an automated system, then it's possible not to have, it's possible that tyrannical governments won't censor content that are delivered in real time. You get those facts straight. And then also, again, a victim of tyranny while handling or inhuman treatment because he won't be there physically. So those two form my favorite part of why AI and its effect in journalism should be something we need to celebrate. Now, are there any dangers in rounding up? One would wonder, as Sonny Daniel also mentioned, about loss of jobs, for instance. Would the robo-writer take away jobs from modern journalism? I don't think so, not in the foreseeable future, because there are two parts now. Now, having to automate what is routine, what is drudgery, and then leaving you enough time to become more creative. So journalism for me is not just about the routine reporting. It's also reading the writings of master authors, such mastery of language, who have full flair just because I know who the authors are. Because I know the kind of language they use. I love to read them because they display such mastery of language. That is not possible flair of that author. That cannot be taken away by the robo writer, because that's something unique, something special, something that makes you want to come to him and watch his video or read his article, or that kind of thing will never go away. So we still need the human element, human touch. And then there is a deep and complex analysis of issues which you want to know and get the shades of opinions. And I work in many media houses give those kinds of programs. Now, all of those are from the quantum computing and intelligence, or a simple algorithm that runs this feature. Now, finally, I have some recommendations for Africa. In my thoughts, because I believe that AI in journalism is a good thing. It isn't yet in Africa at any significant level, but it's coming. When it begins to come, what should governments do? Even before it comes. And in fact, around it. I believe that anything that can make life better and worth living can become a business, an enterprise. So my call is to governments, policy-making institutions, innovation hubs, and media entrepreneurs in Africa, who I say should hold innovation challenge on artificial intelligence solutions for the media. Just like you have hackathons on every issue, building out prototypes of solutions that can help make something better, smoother, more enjoyable. We need to have those kinds of hackathons. We need innovation hubs that are ranging for media-based solutions. Why not? And then we invite venture capitalists, private equity fund managers, angel investors to invest in startups which may emerge from such innovation challenge. Definitely, businesses can be built around this kind of imagine, which are getting funding because they solve problems, editing videos, editing films, and even reporting news about weather and things that are routine. Then I say that mainstream artificial intelligence news content into official, sorry, I got that wrong. Mainstream artificial intelligence driven content into official bulletins for growth of AI journalism. Many government offices have a team. Now, my point is, we can actually mainstream AI-driven news content in the future bulletins so that people can have unfettered, uncensored news delivered at their doorsteps, real time, online. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Iyani. Thank you for your valuable recommendation for Africa organizations, African governments. It's really important and interesting how we have to implement artificial intelligence, and the way how you present it, I think it decreased our fear from artificial intelligence. Once this month, I attend a seminar with Professor Silvanus Ayeni, and luckily he's with us now and at the webinar. He
Is it my system, or are we just losing the moderator?
Yes, we're losing her.
Yes, I think we lost her.
Okay. I hope she will get back soon. Okay, I think while she's trying to come back on, the VP hand was up. I don't know if she's still there and has what to say. VP, are you there, please? Your hand was up.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yes, basically, I just wanted to highlight one other important aspect, as we had the emphasis as regards the traditional journalism about so many media houses had to close up at the advent of the new journalism, or what we call the web media journalism. The point is, whatever it is that has happened in that stance to journalism is really not different from what has happened to other sectors. A very important sector is the banking sector, for instance, banking and finance, where today we have a lot of applications. We don't really have to go back to the bank to do a lot of things. And the advantage of that is that a lot of people who did a business administration or anything that has to do with banking, and actually we have a higher number of unemployment in that stance. But one thing we can actually see for sure today is that people are still going to school to study those professions, but their job has really changed today from interacting with the customer directly to some more core administrative duties. In this light, talking about journalism, I believe that just like the last presentation, the fantastic presentation we saw, made reference to the fact that today, the work of the journalists, I would say in my own strict sense, has not really been taken away by AI. Obviously, the audience don't know the difference. And I believe that is where the huge work is. The work of a journalist is to find facts, report facts, the way they found it. And today, all the AI system will only feed from the information they have. Even if they are going to produce content, they will produce content from information that has already been produced. What a lot of countries, I would say, in the West have been able to do, that they have tilted journalism to what we call investigative journalism, where it is not just about reporting day-to-day news. Journalists are now trained to find out facts, as it were. Okay, you're welcome back. So journalists are trained these days. Most of the schools.
Rasha, I don't know why. All of a sudden I have problem of internet connection.
No, it's
just
okay.
mentioned it before what Professor Silvanus Ayeni thought. One of the most important and interesting about artificial intelligence, new technology in Africa, and he has already wrote a book about it, and he's he joining today the meeting. What he was explaining for us, that the issues with the AI and Africa is like, we Africans, we have to change our mindset. Africans have to understand that intelligence has no color. Intelligence, brain has no gender, has no ethnicity, has no color. That's why we have to change our mindset, and we go forward to implement artificial intelligence and to see ourselves first as intelligent and brave. Well, from this point, especially the point of brain and artificial intelligence has no gender. I really like to give the floor to Janica Umal. She's the co-founder of Umbrella Tree Collab from Estonia, and she's working hard on implementing and facilitating the presence of new technology and artificial intelligence in Africa. Janica, she will deliver a speech presentation about the issue and initiative regarding artificial intelligence and media. And Rashael and me, we are really pleased and happy to have women leaders in artificial intelligence like Janica. Janica, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Maha, for that kind introduction. I would like to also point out that Tina Rodam is also here, and she's the co-founder of Umbrella Tree. We're both female co-founders of a startup, so we're really excited you invited us here. And actually, I'm going to be focusing more on AI improving our workspaces and how it's improving remote working. And after that, I'm gonna talk a little bit about our project, but I'm gonna start now. So AI improving workspaces. So when I first saw this quote, I think it really resembled the current situation because as a team, we're also working remotely, and we can see that remote working and AI isn't going anywhere, and it's actually starting to get more and more into the working lives, and it should be more accepted, and this goes along with Africa also. So when we're talking about AI in specific, then actually the developments in IT and data science technologies like cloud platforms, self-service AI, and the machine learning and collaborative tools are actually helping to continue building AI solutions in a remote and distributed manner. The only drawback of these things not working is actually the internet connection, which can vary from country to country, really. So, and also since we're in the pandemic times, then there has been a lot of self-studying for people. They're working remotely, they're more at home, so this means they're using more edtech platforms. So they're more able to actually to learn and develop their skills, and this goes along with AI also. So this can also help to fill the data science skills gap also, which is actually a big concern in African countries. So when we're going onwards, then AI improvements are most significantly seen in new and high-value jobs that are created. But these jobs really require technical skills, but they create actually new sectors of economy. So AI really isn't taking any jobs. It's creating more of jobs that require more skills in technical manners. But as you can see, it's actually creating 50% more jobs, or let's say digital workers in the current situations are going to be 50% more by the end of this year. So AI really isn't taking any jobs, it's creating them more, but the jobs themselves are actually going to change, and this goes for Africa too. So Africa won't be some sort of exemption in that field. So when it comes to remote working, it's really important that you will be able to do video calls, because face-to-face contact is up to a minimum. So people are working remotely, and when we're doing video calls, there are usually problems with audio and video. And this is actually another part where AI comes to improve this, because AI can improve video and audio quality in real time, and also automatically filter out any distracting background noises. So it actually helps us in our daily working lives. So yes, of course, remote working can increase the feeling of being isolated or disconnected from your workmate. It can lead to disengagement or even stress and ill health. But through sentiment and interaction analysis of everyday tools like email, messenger, and other collaborative application, AI systems can provide effective means of measuring employee well-being and engagement. So it helps actually the employers. So when we're using AI systems, it helps to measure the employees and actually improve their well-being also. When we're going along with the idea of AI, then there is one thing that needs to be brought out, and again, it's the learning. But as we've learned that women and males also differ significantly in their preferred teaching style. So this again, AI is going to improve that also. So AI-fueled learning and development tools are able to level up traditional learning also and develop in the workplace so that it's personalized, more comprehensive, and constantly evolving. So again, AI-powered engagement tools, learning and development platforms will be essentially ensuring that remote workers, while they're out of sight, are very much in mind. When it comes to collaborative tools, which I already mentioned, then when you think about scheduling meetings, this actually involves a lot of administrative work. It's a lot of repetitive work, and sometimes you may wonder, why do I have to do this task? Maybe there could be some program or tool that would ease this process. So this is where AI comes in again. So AI can actually help you in scheduling appointments, getting the right time for each teammate to end up in the meeting. And even if that person couldn't be able to participate in the meeting, then through the video recording, AI can automatically capture and present additional relevant information. The AI can gather like web links, videos, and documents that were used in this meeting. And AI is doing it based on the topics and the keywords used in that meeting. So all in all, AI helps to improve the service flow. It saves time and increases team productivity. And it actually reduces digital impatience. So people in the team can be more focused on creative tasks than repetitive, mundane tasks that aren't the most pleasurable to do. Let's look further on. I've given out some examples of AI tools that perhaps you can already start using, or if you go to their website, you can get ideas for your own startup to do in Africa. So XAI is a digital person assistant called Amy. So this AI system actually can arrange meetings and even contact participants. Dala is another AI tool. It's actually a all-in-one machine that lets users communicate, automate, and coordinate with other teams. And also Grammarly, I think many of you know already Grammarly, but maybe many of you don't know that Grammarly also uses AI, not just for checking your language and grammar and spelling, but it also advises users on voice and clarity. So it's especially difficult in remote working settings. So when you're writing something, written communication, it can mean different things. But when you have this kind of tool like Grammarly, it can help you to voice your opinions, your topics in a more clear way, and don't have to worry what sort of reaction you can have on your teammates. So also, Grammarly can examine your emails, texts, and other messages. So you are to ensure you're communicating in a tone that you want to. So it's making your communication more personal, because it's taking data, the data you've actually produced yourself, so it's more genuine and unique to yourself. So it isn't like some sort of preset program it's doing. That's why it's artificial intelligence, because it's more intelligent than actual basic platform. So moving on, then cyclanes and dark trace are actually cybersecurity tools. They're able to analyze large volumes of data, recognize malicious behavior, quickly detect threats, and deal with them promptly. So cybersecurity is another area where AI is going to be influenced and improved in a large manner. I hope we have time so I can actually introduce our project as well. Maha was so kind
Please,
to
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
You have the whole time. We need to
Okay.
hear from women.
Thank you. So as Maha already mentioned, that we're actually empowering women through emerging technologies, and one of these technologies we're using is AI. So first of all, I think many of you perhaps don't know that, but our team met during the EU Africa Hackathon, and since this September 2020, we're building this product together. Our teammates are based in Nigeria. We have contacts in Rwanda, and Tina and I are based in Estonia. So our platform offers training, career advancement, and entrepreneurship programs for women in Africa. The only requirement is that these women are actually interested in technology, emerging technologies, and they have some sort of skills either in beginner level or intermediate level, so they can create their career process in a startup or program. So this is all for women taking their career to the next level. So what's the problem why women in Africa aren't part of decking industries? When we're thinking about women in Africa, then usually we get this number less, and when we emerging technologies, then this problem but actually emerging and their jobs are created in Nigeria for the end of this year. But actually the need is like 20 to 30 million jobs. So this means we have to have more people, not just males, participating in the technology sector, but females too. So we can actually provide sufficient enough jobs for the employment market. So the women who we are targeting are just for now are 18 to 40 aged. They existing skills or interesting technology, and they want to advance their career. our pilot developments, but we have this demo. On this demo, we have specific program through and look how they're working. We've also tested the prototypes on, so it seems everybody is really interested in this program. And also for the pilot, we're focusing on AI. So we're doing a AI curriculum. We're developing courses in AI so women can start and get into knowledge and skills in AI so they can start working in the field or advance already if they're working in that field. As you can see, I've listed here our companions, people we're cooperating with. Your Y Network is based in Ireland. Africa Chamber of Commerce, where we actually met with and also the African ICT Foundation. And the women who have tested our prototype have said that actually, yes, women are in the tech field. There is need of more like tech education for women to participate in the field. It's also important to create a community of women in tech because women are empowered by other women who have participated in the field, so they feel like more encouraged than they would feel in a male-dominated space. So also our competition shows that none of these examples I put here are focusing specifically on women. Also, the focusing in emerging tech is lacking, and also the career opportunities. Since we're planning to do job making, skills, and that's like all in the certificate, but no, they will actually be matched with a employer. And we will ensure with our curriculum that you're learning the skills that are needed in the employment field. So you're not learning anything that is not required. So it's ensured in both ways. And also we're going to use digital marketing, plan like social media events, online events, work together with our partners, of course. That's why I'm actually here today to introduce you this project. Again, this is like a part of our strategy. And also we're planning to advertise in universities and in co-working spaces also. And this is our team currently. We have 3 members in Nigeria, 1 in Rwanda, and we are in Estonia, me and Tina. So thank you.
Thank you for you too. Thank you, Janica. It's only woman who can empower women, like you empowered us too much today. You and Rachel, you made my day. Really,
oh, thank you.
I'm pleased and honored to have you here. And as long as we are talking about presence and human of real life to online life, keeping this patriarchy mindset. And it's not only patriarchy mindset, it's a dictator mindset. They play with our privacy. And that's why we insist to have Professor Muhammad Farahat. He's a lawyer, he's an expert in digital policies and digital rights to deliver a final speech about the ethical and legal issues of artificial intelligence and modern journalism. Mohammed is the focal point of African Foundation. We'll be happy to listen to understand if there is ethical, moral, what is the moral limits of artificial intelligence. Mohammed Farahat, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Maha. Thanks, everyone. And thank you for inviting me to
Please?
attend this. You can hear me?
You can hear
Okay.
me, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Maha, and thank you, everyone. Thanks for inviting me to attend this very useful event and discussion. In my part, I will not take your time, take more from your time. Just I would like to highlight in some very essential points when we speak about AI and modern journalism. So let me to start first to not to discuss, but to know to analyze the term of modern journalism and AI, because we have two components now. We have modern journalism and we have AI. To know what is the challenges and the legal issue and what's the ethical issue related to AI, we have to understand clearly what we mean by both components. The first, at least from my point of view, AI is just machine. In the end, it's just machine, like the machine in every place, in every factory. It needs to be monitoring, it needs to be updated, it needs to be evaluated by human. This is the first. And AI as a machine is need something to be worked. I know that AI is something, this application is working automatically or in automation environment. Just you give them or give this machine some information and she starts to work automatically. But before this machine working and produce some articles or produce some text or produce everything, they need information, they need data. And this data, it's come from journalists, not from the machine, from the air. So we have this about the AI. The second part about the modern journalism. What's the meaning of modern journalism? Modern journalism is, in simple way, it's using the technology in the press issue in the media. And this change comes from, as my colleagues spoke before, like Dr. Sonia and Maha and others spoke about the move or the shift from traditional media to the digital media. So what's the difference? What's the difference here? Using the technology now, all of us, even if I'm not working in the media, even if I'm not, I'm not journalist, I just using the technology. I just using my phone, my smartphone. I have my laptop. I can reach to or access to all information. This was not in the past. I can interact with the news. This is a change. As a person, as a normal person, I'm not working in the field. In the past, just we buy the newspaper, we can watch the TV, and they know the information or the news from the presenter or from the journalist through the paper news, the newspaper, not through different platforms. But when the media or when the news become available in the platform or online, that gives me the opportunity to interact with this news. And maybe criticize the government policies, and maybe I can like refuse this opinion and accept this opinion. I can like make something. So this is a difference. So we have a post. So now not the only journalist who is working in this field in the time of modern journalism. Not only the journalist who is responsible, because others, the people who can interact with this news, and he can give the information, he can give his opinion, he can characterize this information or others news. So this is the two component. What's the legal issues related to that, or what's the like the ethical issues related to that? So let me first called what Gershon mentioned before about the fake news. What about the fake news? This is one of the problem now. It's faced not in Africa but also in everywhere in the world. The fake what's in the fake news. Now, as I mentioned that depending on what I mentioned about the AI is machine, and they will produce what the journalist put. What about what the journalist input in this machine? What's the data he like feeding this machine to produce? And I saw about the fake news, how the AI will differentiate between what is considered fake news and what is considered freedom of expression. Just you will give this information. Maybe others, and I don't speak about like as a journalist, man. With Jenica, I fully agree with Jenica that AI is one of like tools is assisting journalists in the workplace to improve their work and to accelerate their work and their efforts and their organization. So about the AI, it could be the assistant for journalists. It should not be all things. I know that now, like in New York Times and Washington Post, these have programs that produce a full articles. It's produced or is written by AI programs, not by journalists. But I still insist that AI can do that only because the journalist has put some data for this machine. Upon this data, the machine has started to produce this information. This are from the legal issue. What about the data protection? Is another challenge. They got erased or when using AI. Data protection, because we have a problem. We cannot ensure that if this AI program has processing, when we come to the data processing, if the AI or this program has processing this data in correct way or not, this one is a big problem. And also when you like as a journalist make some interviews with some groups, political groups or some vulnerable groups, and they may face a problem if their percentage has been unknown. So we cannot ensure that if the AI is an AI machine or program will keep the confidentiality of these groups or not. This one, if when we come to also to data protection and the privacy, so AI gets the consent from this person before they share the information now. And that's so for my point of view, AI is important as a machine, as assistance to journalists. And another point, and as I mentioned about the fake news, as Ms. Rachel mentioned before about the fake news, AI cannot differentiate between what is fake news and what is correct news. They can detect, they can explore if this fake news or not, but depends on what? Depends on the information is already fed in advance to this machine to explore this fake news. So let me give you an example. Now, if I am working with government, I am security agent, and I have a program, AI program it's designed to explore what is the fake news. And I mentioned that any information or any information circulated about like COVID-19, it's come from anyone not related to government is considered fake news. So that means that if I am Muhammad Farhat, I'm a lawyer and I'm not working with government, but I mentioned that, okay, all the information about the COVID-19 in Egypt is not correct. This means this is fake news. When I say that, okay, all the preventive measures taken by the government is not enough or is not effective, this is considered a fake news because this AI machine have an order or have data information mentioned that any information about questioning the data or any numbers come from the government, it's considered fake news. So I will be accused of circulating a fake news. And it will not be considered as a freedom of expression. I have a right to criticize the policies come from the government. This is one problem. And also, when we come to the accountability of the journalists themselves, the accountability of journalists, because by the end, if we like face the problem that the AI programs in any journalist media organization has produced some fake news. Let's say that's fake news, okay, from the media organization. But the journalists itself didn't give this machine this information. But for any reason, this machine produced some information, some articles, some news is considered fake. Who is responsible for this mistake? The machine or the organization? The journalist. It's the journalist. It's the organization, not the machine. I cannot like fill a police report against the machine. Or the government cannot go to this machine or this program and arrest this program. No, they will come to the journalist and come to the organization. And the data privacy, as when we move to the data privacy, to solve, to keep this, not all, for the journalists, maybe the journalist, or as I mentioned, in the realm of digital or modern journalists, not only the journalist or the media organization who involved in the process of producing the news. No, the normal people also involved in this process. So the situation now, not also some news come from the journalist to the people, but also the people interact. So what about the privacy of these people? So I think this some challenges and also is not, if we come to the accuracy of the information produced from the AI program, is not always ensures that the AI program will be produce a very accurate information about some topics. There is some mistakes. Why? Because as I mentioned that the AI is by the end is a machine. And this working depends on the data that journalist or the organization feed by it. If this machine doesn't have a data, they will produce something maybe is not right. So it depends on the data and it depends on the information and how this program will processing this data. And so to say that it's different from organization to other, from country to other. It depends on what's the quality of the program used to process this data. So to conclude that, I think that AI in the field of using AI in the field of journalism is very important, and not only for journalism. All the careers now start using AI to facilitate their works. Like the lawyers, as a lawyers, we also have some programs working using AI to facilitate our works in the cases, management of the cases of something. But we have to use AI as a system, not as something we like. We cannot like on the AI from A to Z. As I mentioned, okay, I know that some very huge organization, media organization like New York Times using the AI to produce a full articles, but we have the journalists have to check, to monitor this machine, to evaluate this machine from time to time. Like, let me give you an example. As you can imagine that you have a factory and you have a machine. This machine you have to, from time to time, to evaluate the quality of this machine and to check and monitoring this machine and update it or upgrade it this machine. But if you like stop to do that, what will happen? This machine will start to produce something strange, or to produce something was not intended to be produced. I think AI is the same. Is machine, and we need to do that. So the positive impact of AI is to facilitate the work of journalists, especially because the journalists and sometimes they need to produce some article or some information quickly, and they have to back to the AI to get some information or to produce some papers. But the negative issue is when we come to the data protection of others, when we come to the privacy of others, and also when we come to the security of journalists, when we speak about the accountability. As I mentioned, that we cannot arrest the machine, AI machine or AI program, but we will arrest the journalist if this machine produce something is considered fake news or spread some like information is not correct or illegal information. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you for your for a really interesting thoughts about machines, ethics. Can we arrest machines? What we can do with the fake news? How we can work with it? What's the moral limits and the ethics? It's really interesting, valuable, and we really understand that this is the current debate, even at the level of the UN. The UNESCO made their chart of artificial intelligence, but we're still yet waiting for a convention or a protocol. How can we follow up with the multinationals companies who are working today with artificial intelligence? This is really a deep debate, and we need, I think, more than 2 hours or 1 day to discuss it. Needs a lot of time, and I'm really honored and proud that we, as experts, as researchers, as lawyers, journalists, we are raising these issues on our continent level, and we are joining the international debates, the international thoughts about artificial intelligence, the modern journalism, even the modern work. Now I'd like to ask participants, our colleagues, friends who join us, if they have a questions to ask for you experts. And yes, please, if you have any questions, raise your hands and ask, or comments. And Professor Silvanus, I really want to hear from you. Hi. We are really happy to have you with us. So please, I will give you the floor, as long as I'm the moderator today. If you have any thoughts, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Meher. And I'm so happy to be here. I have learned a lot listening to everybody. And I really thank you for setting up this session. I just have a few comments, and I hope some of you will forgive me if I disagree with a few things. But by and large, this is what I would say. Number one, artificial intelligence is here to stay. We cannot run away from it. It is part of the fabric of human existence. Number two, artificial intelligence is not just a machine in the same sense that we used to think about any machine. It is an inflection point in the history of humanity. It is like E equals mc squared. Trust me, it is like Einstein's theory of relativity, which even the most brilliant physicists in the world did not understand. Why? Because artificial intelligence is going to progress to artificial general intelligence, which is human level intelligence, which we have already. As you know, these machines like GPT-3 by OpenAI in San Francisco, it can play its own video games, it can blog, it writes its own articles, it can do anything. So it's going to lead to what we call intelligence explosion. An intelligence explosion will lead to singularity, please. That is a term that we must all be aware of, singularity. And once you reach that point, then artificial intelligence will explode and become uncontrollable. And we are at that point now. So the journalism profession has to be prepared for this, just like every other sector in the society is prepared for this. And I'm not going to talk too much about this, but Maha obviously was in my session where I talked about the intersection between neurosciences and artificial intelligence. Because Elon Musk, one of the richest people on the planet, okay, the founder of SpaceX and the founder of Tesla driving cars, he's behind Neuralink. And he has implanted these sensors in monkeys, and these monkeys can play games. They can do anything they like. And eventually his plan is to implant it in humans so that he will develop a human brain computer interface so that the computer will generate all this. You see, once artificial intelligence reaches the singularity level, it becomes uncontrollable. It doesn't matter what you put in, you cannot control its output. And that is why, and I'm going to stop here, there is a group of people who have formed the beneficial AI movement. Very important. They are at MIT, okay? Beneficial artificial intelligence movement. And I think the journalism community has to be involved in this movement. And their point is that humans have to control artificial intelligence before it controls humans. And it's going to do so at some point, okay? Whether it's 3 decades from now, okay, or 50 years from now, or even 10 years from now. So that's all I have to say. But I think one advantage that human beings have is that at this point, we have the advantage of language. And that's why I love the point somebody made about language. Artificial intelligence, these machines, despite all the machine learning, they do not have a historical perspective, no matter what they write. And they don't understand the information. So we human beings, our mind, we still have the advantage of language, our culture, our history, a perspective. So that's all I'm going to say about artificial intelligence is here to stay. We have to embrace it. And then we have to work with people, brilliant researchers in Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT. Unfortunately, Africa is so far behind. And I will say that and I will stop her. My involvement in this is because of my involvement in African development. And I wrote a book, Rescue Thyself, Change in Sub-Saharan Africa Must Come From Within. The post-independent leaders of Sub-Saharan Africa have completely neglected science. So we have to get our young men and women in science if Africa is going to operate in this space. Otherwise, Africa will always be dependent on the rest of the human race. We'll be dependent on Europe, on North America, on China, on India. We have to operate in this space. Otherwise, we will be permanently submissive to these people. It is an explosive area. Unfortunately, Africa is so far behind because it is not a priority for the leaders. So science, STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics must be emphasized by the African Union, the heads of state, so that we can operate in this space. I'm sorry I took so much time, but thank you so much for inviting me and allow me to make a few points. And I welcome your comments and feedback.
Thank you, Professor Silvanus. Like, the honor is ours, and I really like to clap as Danica is doing now, and everyone who's listening to you. We need this approach. And remember, when I start talking, I mentioned you about African mindset. We have to be stronger. We have to join as I said, the global debate about the artificial intelligence, and we need to brace it. In Arabic, we say يعانق. And as language has no limits, Professor. and I have to give the floor to Mr. Joshua from London. He's the head of company of artificial intelligence. He joined us and he'd like to make a comment about after, they're written in the inbox after Professor Ayani. Thank you, Professor, one more time. Shukran jazilan, as we say in Arabic. Thank you. So, Mr. Joshua, please go ahead. We are waiting for your comments.
Hey, Maha, thank you for...
Hey, thank you, Joshua.
Thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I just wanted to add something little to what the professor said. Africa is really behind, and we don't have to be afraid of artificial intelligence, AI. When you hear of AI, you know, some people just get into panic mode, especially because of this post-pandemic. You know, people are actually beginning to think and see the bigger picture of what's going to be happening. So now my company, for example, I've also met a lot of really brilliant Africans who are also moving back to Africa to be the forefront in Africa in this field, you know, and this is what we have to do. Like, we have to be open, you know, to the AI field, and Africa is not at the table. You know, we say data is the new oil. I see a future where very soon, let's say, if you are Nigeria as a nation, your oil, you know, won't be valuable anymore because no one will be buying your oil. You know, so Africa needs to change its education system radically. You know, we need to, you know, even most of the big universities that I've heard of, they are not teaching data science. They are not having this curriculum, you know, and my company, we are moving to Africa. I mean, we are in 2 countries at the moment. We are in Ghana and Nigeria, and hiring data scientists was very difficult. It was really, really difficult. And even though we even found some really, really good data scientists, there was another problem, which was the problem of the internet. We couldn't even have the meetings with them over the Zoom call, you know, because the internet is so slow and so fast behind and so expensive. So we in the diaspora, it's our responsibility to go back to Africa and then, you know, protect Africa and then, you know, encourage this movement, you know. We also have like a new program that we're trying to teach data scientists for free. So we're going to teach a lot of girls and a lot of guys, because we believe that teach a man and you teach one person. If you educate a woman, you educate a whole nation. So we have these kind of programs that we are trying to encourage, you know, to teach, you know, and train, you know, people in this field as much as we can. So this is my 2 cents that I would like to add to what the professor said.
Thank you, Joshua, for your kind comments. And if you have more information about your company and things, please share it on the chat box. And I really like that you, Janika, Rachel, Mohammed, Professor, all of you get contact and you embrace artificial intelligence in Africa. Janika, if you have anything to add, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Maha. I'm really on the same terms with Professor Ayani. Actually, I've also encountered the fact that language is something artificial intelligence won't take from us. And when we're talking about STEM fields, then also this is really lacking in Africa. That's why we're working on this Umbrella Tree collab project to educate the women so they would participate more in the field. And also what Joshua said about universities, not even teaching basic data science. Even our team has people working from Nigeria who actually went to the university, but they find out the level of teaching is too low for them to work in their field. So they're actually learning by themselves, either through YouTube videos, so Udemy or Coursera. But this is something a government should think about. When you're not educating your youth, you're not contributing to the full development of the sciences and also the emerging technologies. So as far as I've understood, that Joshua is also working on developing the youth and helping them learn new technology skills. It's really great to hear. We're doing the same thing in an umbrella tree. Since the universities are probably not catching up so fast, we're going to fill the gap so Africa won't be left behind. And Africa still has the possibility, in the example of like in Nigeria, which is one of the most advanced countries in Africa in terms of emerging technologies, then there really is a chance. And also the whole sub-African area is really an upcoming field, emerging tech. So I would see it in a positive manner, but individuals can contribute to our treated with respect, and also able to advance to the higher levels in emerging technologies. So it's actually we shouldn't forget that in a set of emerging technology. Thanks.
Thank you, Janica. And I think that Emmanuel wants to have some comments. Please, Emmanuel, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Maha. You are doing a great job, and all the speakers, you are doing so much. In line with goals and objectives, I'm talking about the African ICT Foundation. It is a vision to ensure that Africa ICT literacy is reduced by 50% at the end of 2025. Therefore, that is the reason why we try as much as possible to see how we can gather experts from far and wide to see how we can bring this particular dream to reality. Already, there are some programs in place which we are working towards that, which includes this. I want to use this opportunity to invite Tina Ruthman and Janica Umalas to please join force with us. We would like to work with your organization in the aspect of women in technology. You see, in African ICT Foundation, we try to balance the equation by bringing in as many tech-oriented women as possible, as well as empowering those who are not tech-oriented. Therefore, we are always friends to women in tech. Therefore, we would like to work with you to sensitize, especially in Nigeria, which happens to be the most populous nation. We have a whole lot of young women who do not really understand the skills. They might be using big phones and very expensive phone. The iPhone that is not out, some of our women has it already in Nigeria, but they don't really know how to make commercial use of the device they are holding. Therefore, we would like to work with your organization as a body to ensure that technology is taken down to the rural communities who are at this moment have no idea of what technology is all about. Also going to Silvanus, Ayeni, and Joshua, your contributions were brilliant, and we can't let you go. Like African ICT Foundation is a very large platform, which we are actively available across the continent, and we will want to work with your organizations. I think I will come for the book, Professor Silvanus Ayeni. I'll come for the book because I need to read to know what the content is all about. And Joshua,
Emmanuel,
yes.
Emmanuel, sorry, you have to pay to read. for this book about what? I will not accept that you take it for free, you know?
No, we'll get some copies for the organization.
Listen, even he's my friends, okay? Professor Silvanus, he's my friend. Like all of them they're my friends, but you have to pay.
No problem. No problem. So, Joshua, I understand your organization is in Nigeria, and honestly, we would like to work with you as well to see how we can actualize the dream of having a center stage in Africa, because the fourth revolution is already in Africa. Therefore, if we do not bubble up to get it actualized, definitely, like Ayeni said, we will have to again be dependent of the Europe and America for all informations. So please, it is important. I will reach out to you as Executive Secretary after this time out. So Maya, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Joshua, Janika, Tina, all of you. Before we close, I think that the time is running. I'd have to hear from you if you have another comments before we end this beautiful session. Peter?
Okay.
Yeah, please,
Yes.
Mr. Peter. Yeah. So you will be the last speaker, right?
Okay, no, sure. Thank you for that opportunity.
Okay. I will end up with your beautiful smile. That's beautiful to have you at the last. Yeah,
thank
please.
you so much. So,
go ahead.
So I want to first of all appreciate the African ICT Foundation for this great opportunity and for all the speakers. They have spoken very well. I recall in May 2020, Microsoft laid off 50 journalists who were editors and journalists who are involved in the curation of news. They were in processing of news, selecting, picking contents. And those contents were published in Microsoft's News and MSN websites. But when they left, those vacancies were not left open. Some other things, filled up the gaps, and that is AI journalists. I call them AI journalists. So when they came on board, they were able to identify trending news, interesting trending news. So what does that tell us? But they were limited because they were only able to identify, but other aspects of journalism, which is where the skilled manpower comes in. So what I'm advocating is that African ICT Foundation should have laid the foundation for us to do something in terms of trying to educate the young people here. Even at the moment where we have the traditional way of journalism, the skill is still lacking. You get someone from mass communication department or journalism school to write something and they're not able to write. That's still a problem. So if the machines are coming and human beings are not prepared, that's where we're going to have issues. So technology is here to enhance, to add value to what you are doing. But we human beings should be prepared. So we at Tech Economy, we're taking cognizance of that. And we are working towards ensuring that we are not taking off the market. So I want to appreciate everyone who participated. And I want to say that this is quite a laudable project that African ICT Foundation has done. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thank you for you too, Peter. Thank you for your kind comments and your beautiful smile too. Thank you. Well, I'd like to ask one more time if there are other comments, or I give the floor to Rachel.
Oui, I think I'm muted, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I'd like to add more five minutes before we end, okay? We still have 5 minutes and we close the session.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been inspiring. Okay, I obviously have a lot of approach from the tech point of view, but it's actually exciting for me to speak with journalists who have years of professional experience, sharing their own experience also. If there is something I would like to add, like I was saying initially, I do not believe that AI is coming to take jobs, because we have seen so far that even though jobs are being taken away, more jobs are being created. So what we need to do is for our journalists to move up. I was saying something about investigative journalism the last time. That is still something AI would not do for now, except we are talking about the neural network where we can, like the professor was talking about, when we're working with neural network, yes, you can plug some things to someone's mind and read the mind and also compute based on the readings. But before we get to that point, we always still need journalists who will actually give facts, who can actually take story from history. So I think journalism as it is now has moved away from just being able to write something and publish a story or about an event. We now need journalists to do the investigative part of their job, because that would make them to be very, very relevant, and they will also be able to contribute to the AI community in terms of information sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. And Isaiah, hello? You can hear me, right? Yes. Please, Mr. Isaiah, I'd like to hear from you your
good afternoon.
about AI and stuff. Yeah, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
good afternoon. I'm the director of communication for the foundation, and going by the program that we have, I'm supposed to do a roundup and then give the vote of thanks. Fortunately, I've been on transit, so that's why I've been going off and on. But I want to say that it's a great gathering, and the foundation actually holds everyone who has spoken at this fourth edition of looking at AI and the media. We hold everyone in high esteem, everyone who has participated. I want to specifically thank our second vice president, Rachel, who stood in for our president, Sonia Jobo, that is unavailably absent from this engagement this morning. I want to say thank you, Rachel, for setting the ball rolling. We gain a lot from you. We appreciate you and all that you've been doing from the foundation, and particularly your interest in women. We're so glad that now you have a partner in the person of Jenica, and we hope that you're going to work together and see how we can penetrate more African women, because like has been said, African women are actually lacking behind. So we're looking forward to a synergy, a collaboration, and an opportunity for Rachel and Jenica to actually work together in moving the foundation forward. Maha, our moderator, I've seen you for the very first time, although I've seen your images. We're so glad and happy in the way you moderated the event today, and we appreciate you. The foundation is very, very happy and excited with the way you coordinate the activities of today. Mohammed, we thank you very much. You are very, very good. We appreciate you. Sonny Daniel, the only media guy on the team. We are so sorry that you couldn't actually join us because of the network issue that you had up north. We understand the challenges. We hope that by next time when you join us, I will be able to sort some of those issues out. And our brother Kemambota, he took permission to be out of the forum today, shortly after making his presentation. We thank Kemambota for his input. I will believe those thoughts that he has shared with us will be very meaningful to the foundation. And our brother from UK, Joshua, thank you very much. Thank you for your insight. And thank you for what you are doing in Ghana. And we appreciate you for trying to link it up with Nigeria. Like as Bansi has rightly said, we're looking forward to seeing what we can do together in moving the foundation forward, and particularly working with you in what you're doing. Mohammed, thank you once more again. We appreciate you. And I will not forget our able prof. If I forget the prof, I will not have a copy of that book.
You have to
So,
pay
prof,
also.
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, prof. What you just said, actually, Jamin, we need to work together as a team. Africa is actually lacking behind. A lot of jobs to be done. Now, we cannot wait. We cannot sit at Akimbo and then expect Europe and the other parts of the world to do it for us. We get to take our destiny in our hands, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're glad we have people like Mohammed, Prof, Maha, and then with support from people like Kenabonta. We hope that you guys will not leave us alone. Thank you very much for joining us. The other forum that are coming, and I believe that by the time the Secretariat extends the invitation to you guys, we're going to honor it, and we're going to really work together. Thank you very much for everyone for coming. We hand over to the moderator now to make one or two statements before we close this engagement for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Over to you, Maha. Yeah.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, all of you, for your kindness. And okay. So unfortunately, we have to end up, because I know you are all busy. For myself, I'd like to stay and discussing and looking at you, because we are doing this, and still in the time of the COVID-19, we are not able to meet in person physically. And I hope that one day we can make it soon in the future. And so thank you. We will communicate all slides via emails, and this meeting is recording, so it will be posting soon on our social media. And I'd like that you join us through social medias, like we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You do have my contact too, the contact of Emmanuel, also Professor Isaiah. Stay safe, keep in touch, and I'm always saying it, we are going to make it for Africa. God bless Africa. Allah yahfadna, as we say in Arabic. I'm really honored and pleased to be with you and to moderate this beautiful session. Thank you for everyone, and goodbye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Maha.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye-bye,
thank
everybody.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Oh boy.